Yo, what is up guys? It's me Zach Lee, back bringing some more daily NBA news. As always, I appreciate you guys for coming back each and every single day. Y'all are the real MVPs, but now let's just get into everything that went down yesterday. Lego. First up in the news, James Harden and the Houston Rockets have been amazing this year. There is no question about that. They currently have the #1 seed in not just the Western Conference, but the best record in the NBA at 47-13. But we all know that just having the best record isn't enough. That means nothing if at the end of the day you don't have the hardware to back it up. If at the end of the day they do not win a ring. However, James Harden is confident that this Houston Rockets team right here is capable of doing just that. As in a recent interview, James Harden said that this is the year for Houston. This is the year for sure. The front office, Daryl Morey and Tad Brown, those guys did an unbelievable job. From last year, bring Gordon and Anderson over, then obviously adding Paul, Tucker, and Bahamute. And then you get Green and Johnson. This is probably the best team that I have been a part of from top to bottom. The chemistry we have, including the coaching staff, I mean, we're having a lot of fun. It's really easy to see that the Houston Rockets are having a lot of fun this year. You just watch one of the games and the bench seems like it's always celebrating. It's also extremely easy to have a lot of fun when you're winning as many games as they are. As for this being their year, we don't know that yet. The Golden State Warriors are clearly still the favorites, but it would be beyond disrespectful for anyone to say that the Houston Rockets don't have a chance. Next up in the news, we take a swift 180-degree turn from the Rockets, a team that is having a lot of fun, to the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that might not remember what it's like to have fun. They're currently on another 10-game losing streak, and Marc Gasol yesterday let us know that he is beyond frustrated with how things are going for them this season. As he said, this is the NBA, not the G League. We should be trying to win and not develop players. Winning is what this is about. It's not about somebody playing well or getting your reps or developing players, because we have a league for that. We have a league and a team here in Memphis to develop guys. Basically, the man said it feels like he's playing on a G League team right now, and I can't blame him. It looks like he's playing on a G League team right now. And Marc Gasol is one of those players where his loyalty to his organization might be his downfall. That may be the reason that he never gets to compete for a ring, and it's sad because he has said so many times that no matter how discouraging this Memphis Grizzlies season is, that he is not going to demand or request a trade. There's a fine line between being loyal and foolish. Marc Gasol, please do not cross that line. Get out while you can. In other news, Kevin Durant gave us his opinion on how he would solve the NCAA's problem. And his idea, well, it's one you'd have to hear to believe, and here it is. First off, they gotta stop publicizing how much money we as NBA players make, because it drives these parents and kids crazy. So now they're saying such and such is making $200 million on a 5-year deal. What do you think these parents are talking about? They're not even worried about the game no more. It's like, oh yeah, you need to go and make that. Whereas back in the day, I didn't know what none of these dudes were making. So he's implying that parents are pressuring their kids to play basketball, to play in college, to get to the NBA so they can make some money. So instead of for the love of the game, it's about the money now, which could be an actual thing, but I think that's a whole separate topic from what the NCAA is going through. And at the end of the day, the damage has already been done. Even if they don't publicize how much money players make from now on, we all know that these players are loaded. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, maybe if we never knew, if we never got word, it was all up to our speculation, and then we see Kawhi Leonard rolling up in his old Chevy Blazer, then we'd be like, dang, these players ain't getting paid nothing. But like I said, the cat's already out the bag. Everyone knows how much you're making, so hiding it now isn't going to do anything. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard though, he's next up in the news. As in an interview, Danny Green said that we've all got that pretty much everything we knew about the Kawhi Leonard situation wasn't necessarily the truth. As he said, both the team and all the players have been in constant contact with Kawhi Leonard, and that they've known all along that he's been planning to come back this year.
I mean, we're teammates, we're still family in the day, we still keep in touch via text, you know, what's going on, how's everything going? You know, rehabbing here, rehabbing there, feeling good. You know, he said he'll be back, so we knew that he was going to be back at some point eventually, playing-wise, not just being around. But so if he's that confident and mentally, and I know he's going to get the work done to get it done physically.
I should have known that Greg Popovich was exaggerating when he says he'd be surprised if Kawhi Leonard came back at all this year. And as for everything else about there being a rift between Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs, I tried to warn you guys not to buy into that. There was no proof, no evidence that any of that stuff was true. And on top of that, the San Antonio Spurs organization has been saying from day one that that has been the truth. Also in the news, news. I rarely ever include things like this in the news, but this was probably the biggest thing that happened in the NBA yesterday. So I had to include it, as James Harden scored one of the most disrespectful baskets in NBA history. Take a look.
Surprised that it's gone this way. Or did you think it was certain? Good work. I thought it was going to be Harden. Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson and then he hit the three. Wow. He put him on the deck and then he hesitated.
Man, shoot, what's his name? What's his name? That's so messed up, James Harden. You done did this guy so wrong. You done destroyed him so bad that you completely wiped his name from my memory. Wesley Johnson. There it is. Poor Wesley Johnson. When I say that he might need some kind of therapy after what James Harden did to him, I am not exaggerating. Because I know personally, if what happened to him happened to me, I would never be the same again. How could you even look at a basketball without remembering that time you got dropped? And then the guy that dropped you looked at you, waited for you to get up before nailing a three, as they go up by 24 points in the game as well. Psychologically, that will end you. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this season. That's really crazy. James Harden literally altered this man's legacy in the NBA. From now on, he will only be known as the guy that got dropped off by James Harden. He won't even be able to tell his grandkids that he played in the NBA, because if he does, the first thing they'll pop up when they search for him would be this clip. Ruined his life. Lastly, in the news, after reaching a buyout with the Los Angeles Lakers, Corey Brewer has decided to take his talents to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which at first glance might not seem like much since it's Corey Brewer. However, with Andre Roberson out for the rest of the year, the Oklahoma City Thunder can clearly use all the help they can get, especially on the wings. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts for OKC. He's a pretty good defender and a slasher. That's his game, defend and slash. And that's pretty much all OKC needs at the two-guard position right now. He might not be a defender on the level of Andre Roberson, but I'm sure he's above Houston. That was all the news from yesterday, though. Be sure to smack that subscribe button if you're new, as well as like the video, as it helps the channel grow and I greatly appreciate it. But now it is question of the day time. And today's question of the day is this: how do you guys feel about Durant's comments? Should we know how much these players make? Leave your opinion down in the comment section below, but now let's take a look at what you guys said in yesterday's video. And yesterday, after Adam Silver sent out a memo to teams regarding tanking, I asked you guys how you felt about tanking in the NBA and if it should stop, and here's what you said. I think if a team caught tanking in the NBA should get their first or second round draft pick for the year taken away. I feel like there's nothing wrong with tanking for a little. I mean, look at what the 76ers are looking like right now. The Sixers were the pioneers of this whole tanking phenomenon. And yes, if done right, it can clearly work. But like I said yesterday, the NBA isn't too worried about a couple of teams tanking. What they're worried about is that it will catch on and you will see about half the league tanking. As for punishment, the NBA said it will be the harshest punishment, so I do believe if a team is caught tanking, that they will get stripped of their draft picks. And just thinking about it, that would probably be the only way to discourage teams from at least getting caught tanking. Don't forget to leave your answer for today's question of the day down in the comment section below. But now we have to take a real quick look at the games from last night. This was supposed to be the day that we saw part 2 of the smackdown between the Rockets and the Clippers that happened earlier this year, but that was canceled when Blake Griffin got traded to Detroit, so it was more of just a regular game now. However, unlike last time, Harden played this time, and that was the biggest difference, as they were able to get the 105-92 win over the Clippers, extending their win streak to now 14 in a row. Harden with 25 on the night, while Tobias Harris scored 24 for the Clippers. I'm sure this game was much closer than Thunder fans and the Oklahoma City Thunder themselves would have preferred, but at the end of the day, a win is still a win. Doesn't matter who you play against or how you get it, as the Dallas Mavericks must have taken Adam Silver's memo about tanking to heart, as they gave maximum effort last night, but it still wasn't enough, as OKC grinds out the 111-110 overtime win over the Mavs. Westbrook with 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, while Harrison Barnes scored 26 for Dallas. Yeah, the All-Star break did wonders for Boston, as they have been playing amazing basketball ever since the season started back up. They let Charlotte have it yesterday. For a team that doesn't have the best offense in the NBA, you couldn't tell that by watching them play, as Boston dropped 134 points, 134-106 the final score. Irving scoring 34 on the night. The Wizards fought hard for 2 quarters, but if you want to beat the Warriors, Warriors, you simply can't afford to have a single bad quarter, let alone two. For the Wizards, it was the first and the third, which allowed Golden State to nab the 109-101 win. Otto Porter Jr. tried his best with 29 points, but Bradley Beal, easily his worst game of the season, only scoring 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting. On the other hand, KD was KD as he scored 32. And the Pelicans keep winning. I don't think anyone should win MVP over James Harden this year, but if the Pelicans make the playoffs, especially if they are higher than the A seed, which low-key, they could get as high as the 3rd seed realistically, AD should at least finish second in MVP voting. And after the Pelicans beat the Spurs 121-116, they moved up to the 5th seed out west and are only a half game behind San Antonio for the 4th seed and 1.5 games behind Minnesota for the 3rd seed. AD with 26 points and 15 rebounds. And the Raptors win again, still the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference with a 43-17 record. Their record isn't much worse than the Rockets or the Warriors, to be honest, and yet I still feel as if most people don't take them seriously. Toronto has to prove some people wrong in the playoffs. It seems 117-104 the final score over Orlando. DeMar with 21, while Lowry had 17 points and 11 assists. The Pistons snapped their little losing skid with a 110-87 win over Milwaukee. Stanley Johnson was balling off the bench with 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. As to the Bucks, Giannis had to leave this game after being poked in the eye. Do my eyes deceive me? Or did the Phoenix Suns just win again? Oh, wait, never mind. They played against the Grizzlies, so it's not that hard to believe. Still though, Josh Jackson, Elfrid Payton, and Devin Booker all balled out for Phoenix last night. That's great to see. Booker with 34, Payton with 19, and Jackson scored a career high 29, 110-102 the final score. Back-to-back bad losses the Pacers will want to forget, as in their last game they lost to the Mavs, and now they lost to the Hawks, 107-102. Dwayne Dedmon with 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks. That wraps up all the action from last night though. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smack that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more daily NBA news, as well as join the quest to 200,000 subscribers, #1,000,000 a year. Remember to vote for the player of the day, but also remember the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday, that player was LeBron James with his 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. Thank you once again for watching. I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow, but until then, I am out of here.